Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today, being the appearance day of Lord Narasiṁha Deva, we will discuss the appearance of Hiranyakashipu and how the Lord eventually destroyed Hiranyakashipu. So this pastime of the Lord is very significant from many angles, and we shall be relating the story plus reading from the Bhagavatam from time to time. And if possible, if it is not going to be too difficult for translation, I also want to read the whole chapter in which the appearance of Lord Narasiṁha Deva is described. The Lord appeared in the form of Lord Narasiṁha Deva to protect his devotee Prahlad and to destroy Hiranyakashipu. Of course, we know that even to be destroyed by the Lord is indeed a great privilege, because unless you are very dear to the Lord, you can't be touched by the Lord. And certainly to have the privilege of being killed on the lap of the Lord is a great, great privilege. Who would not want to die on the Lord's lap, isn't it? So Yudhishthira Maharaj was very bewildered because he saw Shishupala entering into the body of the Lord. Because Shishupala all along was living like an enemy. He was born as Krishna's cousin, but all the time he was envious of Krishna. So Yudhishthira wanted to know, how did this happen? How is it possible that somebody who is a demon, who is always criticizing the Lord, he is able to merge into the body of the Lord? So it was revealed to Yudhishthira Maharaj that Shishupala was not an ordinary demon. Once upon a time, there were two doorkeepers of the Vaikuntha planets, whose names were Jai and Vijay. And one day, the sons of the Brahma, Kumaras, were going to see the Lord in the Vaikuntha planets. And Jai and Vijay, the two doorkeepers, they did not let them come in. They stopped them. So the Kumaras were very offended, and they said, you will have to take your birth as 3 times as enemies of the Lord. They could either take 3 births as enemies of the Lord or 7 births as devotees of the Lord. But they decided to take their birth as devotees of the Lord. As enemies of the Lord. So, Jai and Vijay, they appeared as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha in Satya Yuga, as Ravana and Kumbhakarna in Treta Yuga, and Shishupala and Dantavakra in Dwapara Yuga. So, with this background, you can understand that even though Hiranyakashipu was a demon, in the core of his heart, he was not an ordinary demon. Hiranyakashipu had very ambitious plans. He wanted to become like Lord Brahma. He was actually the king of the demons. Everybody was scared of him. But one thing is, even though he was a demon, he believed in the value of tapasya. Our demons of 20th century, they don't believe in tapasya. But Hiranyakashipu knew the Vedic philosophy very clearly. He instructed the Vedic philosophy on so many occasions. And he had become so powerful with his austerities that everyone, even Narada Muni, was offering him obeisances. Everyone except Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu. They all became like his disciples. So just imagine how powerful Hiranyakashipu was. Even Narada Muni, the great sage, was under him. All the demigods were regularly offering obeisances and offerings unto him. He had become so powerful because of his austerities. The point is that without austerity, you cannot get anything in life. Because Hiranyakashipu had Vedic understanding, he knew that even if I want to become Lord Brahma, I have to perform sacrifices. So everybody was scared of Hiranyakashipu. Even all the demigods were scared of him. So when Hiranyakashipu started his austerities to become very powerful like Brahma, he was performing very great penances. For example, Hiranyakashipu was standing on his toes with his hands towards the sky, and he was looking at the sky non-stop, and his whole body was full of worms and insects. And from his head, he was producing fire. So much fire that even the demigods were scared. The demigods were also crying because they were getting burnt by the heat of the fire. And all types of worms and ants were eating the body of Hiranyakashipu, but still he was totally undisturbed. He had no flesh. It was just his body of bones, and he was still performing austerities. Just imagine. He had not drunk a drop of water for 100 heavenly years. Have you all had water today? Anyway, there's no harm if you have water. But the point is, Hiranyakashipu did not drink a drop of water for 100 heavenly years. Nobody had ever performed such severe austerities. But because he was a demon and his mentality was demoniac, when he was performing austerities, the demigods and everyone was becoming very unhappy. They were feeling the pain. So all the demigods went to Lord Brahma. They told Brahma, please do something quickly, because it is becoming very difficult for us to live. So Brahma finally agreed to come and request Hiranyakashipu to stop doing these austerities. But Brahma he came down and Brahma told him, Hiranyakashipu, I'm very pleased by your austerities. Now tell me, what do you want? Just Prabhupada used to say that just like Hiranyakashipu, with his demonic mentality, was making a hellish situation for the demigods. Also, similarly, the present the demons who are in power, they are also by their so-called endeavor making it hellish for civilization to live. When Lord Brahma came down to find Hiranyakashipu, because Hiranyakashipu's whole body was full of ants and worms and there was no flesh, Lord Brahma was standing along with the other demigods right in front of Hiranyakashipu, and he could not recognize him. He could not recognize him because of the fact that Hiranyakashipu's whole body was eaten up by the worms. So then Brahma, what he did, he took some water from a kamandalu. Kamandalu is like a pot that Lord Brahma carries. And as soon as he sprinkled the water on Hiranyakashipu's body, his body again became like a young man. Brahmaji wanted to restore Hiranyakashipu's original transcendental body, and therefore his original youthful body. Therefore he sprinkled the transcendental water which brought his youthful body back. Hiranyakashipu's body became so strong that even a thunderbolt could not penetrate. Just like fire comes out of wood by the sprinkling of the transcendental water, Hiranyakashipu's body became youthful and strong. So Hiranyakashipu was very happy that Lord Brahma had come to see him. So Hiranyakashipu fell on the floor and offered him obeisances. As I told you, Hiranyakashipu was completely well versed in the Vedic knowledge. Therefore, he glorified Lord Brahma. He acknowledged him as the creator of this universe. He said, you are the cause of all this creation. You are the cause of all manifestation. So somebody may say, why did Hiranyakashipu say Brahma is the creator when actually Krishna is the creator? But Brahma is a dear servant of Krishna. Therefore, the Bhagavatam in many places acknowledges Brahma as Bhagwan and Brahma as creator. In fact, the Bhagavatam also acknowledges Narada Muni as Bhagwan. The point is that Brahma and Narada Muni, they are not at all envious of the position of the Supreme Lord, and because they are dear devotees of the Lord, they are given the same respect as the Lord. There are many Brahmas. As I explained yesterday, the four-headed Brahma is the smallest of the Brahmas. There are Brahmas with even thousands of heads. So Hiranyakashipu acknowledges the supreme position of Brahma in a series of prayers that he offered at the feet of Lord Brahma when Hiranyakashipu's body was transformed into a youthful body. Then, when Lord Brahma told him, Hiranyakashipu, now I'm very pleased with you. Stop your sacrifices. Then Hiranyakashipu said, since you have very kindly offered to give me a benediction that I want, please give me the benediction. But before Hiranyakashipu asked him for the benediction, he had praised Lord Brahma in many verses. Hiranyakashipu's real desire was to become immortal, to never die. But he knew that even Brahma, everybody has to die. So now he's trying to get a commitment from the Lord, from Lord Brahma, in a very diplomatic way. Hiranyakashipu told Lord Brahma, please, you are the creator. Now give me benediction that anyone created by you will never come and kill me. Because everyone is created by the Lord. So Hiranyakashipu wanted to make sure that no human being or animal, no one could harm him, could kill him. Hiranyakashipu was very much afraid that Lord Vishnu may come as an animal and kill him. Because his brother Hiranyaksha was killed by the Lord, who came in the form of a boar. Also he was scared that Vishnu's Sudarshan Chakra may not kill him. See how clever, how calculating Hiranyakashipu was. Okay. So keeping all factors into consideration, Hiranyakashipu said, please give me the benediction that I may not die in the day or in the night. I may not die either in the ground or in the sky. And no human being or animal or any weapon can kill me. See how calculating Hiranyakashipu was. Then no demigod may kill me or no snake may bite me. Please give me the benediction by which I will have no rival. And he said, please, I must have supreme control over all the demigods and everyone should be under me. Further, give me all the mystic powers that powerful yogis can obtain. So Brahmaji, of course, was very satisfied with Hiranyakashipu's austerities. So he said, okay. Brahmaji told him, not only these benedictions cannot be given to anyone, but because you have performed such austerities which nobody can perform, as a special favor only for you, I'm giving you this benediction. So Hiranyakashipu was very happy. Now he thought that he had been able to get all his desires satisfied. Just like the materialists. The materialists are busy making big plans. They have manufactured so many weapons for destroying society, and they have big nuclear weapons, missiles, and they think, oh, they are well protected, they're very secure now. Hiranyakashipu's body, after all these austerities, became golden, imagine. But all the time he was just remembering, my brother Hiranyaksha has been killed by Vishnu. So all the time he was just meditating, how can he take revenge for his brother's death? So all the demigods, all the military rulers on this planet, everyone was defeated by Hiranyakashipu, and everybody became subordinate to Hiranyakashipu. Indra has a very opulent palace, just like you have Kremlin. Indra has a very opulent palace that was designed by Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is the demigod architect. So Hiranyakashipu became so powerful, his body became golden, and he started living in the palace built for Lord Indra. And in that palace, just like you fly in the airplane, you have air hostesses. The most beautiful woman with most beautiful teeth was serving in that palace as maidservants, as servants. And Hiranyakashipu had become so powerful that all the demigods had to first come and offer obeisances to him. And sometimes, like, when you want to chastise young children, and all the time Hiranyakashipu would be shouting at the demigods, hey, why are you not doing this, Indra? Hey, why are you not doing this? So all the time he was chastising the demigods as if they were small kids. And he was always drunk. And all the demigods who would come in, nobody could come in front of him without first bringing a big opulent present for him. As I said, only Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu did not come in front of him. Otherwise, everybody came in front of him with presents and dandabats. And when the demigods, when everyone would bring offerings to him, instead of giving the offerings to the demigods and the Lord, he would say, no, it is all for me. It is all for me. Just like when King Vena was on the planet, King Vena was also a very demoniac leader. And King Vena, he had stopped all the Brahmanas from doing any offerings for Vishnu. He said, all offerings are meant for me, not for Vishnu. Just like the state sometimes, years ago, under strong communistic influence, the state would tell the people, don't worship God, just worship us, the leaders. So, if this can happen now, why should it be surprising for Hiranyakashipu to act in that way? So, even Mother Earth was scared of Hiranyakashipu. Normally, the earth will give rains only when somebody plows it, isn't it? I'm trying to give you the whole history of Hiranyakashipu and how then in the end we will see how he gets killed. And the cows were giving unlimited milk like the Surabhi cows in the Vaikuntha planets. And the trees were giving unlimited fruits. And unlimited minerals and diamonds were coming out of the rivers. And these oceans were not ordinary ocean of salt water, but they were oceans of sugar cane and yogurt and milk and rose water. Because everybody was scared of Hiranyakashipu. The earth was scared, the cows were scared, the mountains were scared, the ocean was scared, so everybody was just doing what he wanted. And the very beautiful flowers were growing. So anyway, the point is that Hiranyakashipu was fear personified. Now here is a very important point that you devotees of Krishna consciousness should learn. You have seen how powerful Hiranyakashipu was, isn't it? In your country, have you ever seen those James Bond movies? Sometimes they show that the hero is able to get everything he wants. So Hiranyakashipu got everything he wanted, isn't it? The demigods were scared of him. He was living in a palace which was made for Lord Indra. The earth was giving unlimited fruits. Everything was just exactly what he wanted. He wanted a benediction from Brahma, which he had obtained. But still Hiranyakashipu was unhappy. Why was he unhappy? Because instead of controlling his senses were controlling him. So the point is that as long as you're being controlled by the senses, you can never be happy. Sometimes devotees say, oh, in Krishna consciousness I cannot make money, so let me go outside and make some money, and when I make some money then I will come back and become a good devotee again. Doesn't matter how much money you make, you're never going to make more money than Hiranyakashipu had, isn't it? But even Hiranyakashipu, with all his wealth, he was still unhappy. So Prabhupada explains that the atheists and the materialists, they may advance as much as they want, but because they cannot control their senses, they are dissatisfied. Just like in the United States, almost every house has 2 or 3 cars. Every house has color television and every facility under the world that you can think of. But are people happy? No, they are unhappy. All our ISKCON temples have 30, 40, 50 cars. Almost every devotee there has a car. So anyway, but that doesn't mean that you can buy happiness. I mean, you can buy a car over there for 400 rubles. So the point is that does not matter how much material success you may get, you cannot be happy till you control your senses. So we as devotees must understand that till we control the senses, there is no question of happiness. So everybody was completely unhappy because of the terrorism that Hiranyakashipu had created. So eventually the demigods all decided, now we have to go to Vishnu. So the Lord heard the prayers of the demigods. And the Lord, a voice from the sky came and said, don't worry, Hiranyakashipu is not going to live for very long. The Lord told the demigods, don't worry, let Hiranyakashipu do whatever he wants. But the moment Hiranyakashipu touches my beloved devotee Prahlad, he will be finished. The Lord told the demigods, I don't care what benediction Brahma has given Hiranyakashipu. The moment he touches my devotee, those benedictions will disappear and I will kill him. The Lord can tolerate anything, but he cannot tolerate offenses at the feet of a Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained, offenses at the feet of a Vaishnava are like a mad elephant offense. Just like a mad elephant can destroy a beautiful garden, offending a Vaishnava can destroy your whole devotional service that you have done. So Hiranyakashipu had 4 sons. and one of his sons was named Prahlad. So now I will read to you 2 verses from the Bhagavatam which describe the qualities of Prahlad. You cannot remember Lord Narasiṁha Deva without glorifying his devotee Prahlad. The Lord is more pleased when his devotee is honored. So therefore, we must meditate on Prahlad's great qualities. Once when Prahlad was in the womb of his mother, the demigods were dragging and pulling her. Narada Muni appeared on the scene. Narada Muni said, "What are you doing? Why are you dragging this pregnant lady?" The demigod said, "We are already troubled enough by Hiranyakashipu, and we are fearful that the child in the womb of this lady is another big demon. So before this demon comes out and kills us, we want to kill him." The demigods were planning that they will drag Prahlad's mother and keep her under their custody. And as soon as the child would come out of the mother's womb, they would kill the child. But Narada Muni told them, the child in the womb of this lady is not a demon, a great devotee. So don't touch him. So the demigods trusted the word of Narada Muni, and Narada Muni's and Prahlad's mother was given into the custody of Narada Muni. And then Narada Muni instructed Prahlad's mother on the principles of Bhagavad Dharma. His mother forgot the instructions, but Prahlad did not forget. Therefore, when Prahlad came out of his mother's womb, he knew everything about devotional service. So I will now read to you these 2 verses that describe the wonderful qualities of Prahlad. Brahmanya Śrīla Sampanna Satya Sandho Jitendriya Atmavat Sarva Bhutanam Eka Priya Suhartamaha Dasavatsanata Rangrihi Pitravadina Vatsala Bhratravat Sadarshe Snigdho Gurusha Vishwara Bhavanaha Vidyatha Rupa Janma Dyo Manastamba Vivarjitaha. One quality was he was cultured he was a trained Brahmana. A Brahman is not on the basis of birth. A Brahman is on the basis of qualification. For example, people in India think that you become a Brahmin on the basis of birth. But you become a Brahmin on the basis of qualification, and the qualifications are described in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Chamo damatapasocam shantirajamam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. That is, a Brahmin must be peaceful, he must be austere, he must be self-controlled, etc. Prahlad had very good character, and he was determined to understand God. Without determination, he cannot understand Bhoga. He had full control over his mind and senses. He was kind to every living entity. He was like a servant to all elders. And to those who were like his age, he was like a brother to them. He considered his teacher and spiritual master to be just like God. He had no pride in him, and he was not at all affected by richness or beauty. After all, he was the son of king, a powerful demoniac king. Prahlad was not the son of a factory worker or something. His father was a very rich man, but still Prahlad was not affected by all this riches. He was not envious of any other Vaishnava. A Vaishnava should never be envious of another Vaishnava. If some Vaishnava has something more than you, then it is a desire of Kṛṣṇa that he have it. You should just accept it. A Vaishnava doesn't engage in criticizing other Vaishnavas because he has something more than me, so I will criticize and pull him down due to envy. He was not scared because he was put into difficulty. A Vaishnava is fearless. Fearless means he never gets scared. A Vaishnava knows in all situations Kṛṣṇa will come to my rescue. Rakhe Kṛṣṇa Mare Kṛṣṇa Rakhe. Who Kṛṣṇa wants to protect, nobody can annihilate. And who Kṛṣṇa wants to annihilate, no one can protect. The Vaishnava is like the air. Even when it's dark in the night, the air is still there. Therefore it is said the Vaishnava is fearless. Queen Kunti has said, Vipadu Santu Taha Sashva Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavata Darshanam Yat Sayad Apunar Bhava Darshana. My dear Lord, please, may you put me into more and more calamities, because the more calamities you put me under, the more I meditate at the lotus feet. And the more I meditate at the lotus feet, the faster will I get freedom from birth and death. Prahlad Maharaj never said Why am I being put into so much difficulty? I'm a devotee of Krishna, so I should have to face no difficulty. So Prahlad Maharaj was acknowledged as a great devotee. In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is explained that there are 12 Mahajans or spiritual authorities, and one of them is Prahlad Maharaj. Swayambhu, Narada, Sambhu, Kamara, Kapilo, Mano, Prahlado, Janako, Bhismo, Bali, Vai, Sakir, Vaya. Lord Yamraj has said in the Bhagavatam, there are 12 authorities for religion, one of which is Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj's qualities are so innumerable that Shukadeva Goswami told Parikshit Maharaj, it is impossible to describe the transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. Because Prahlad had heard the philosophy of Bhagavad Dharma in the womb of his mother. Even when Prahlad was a young boy, he was not at all interested in toys. He threw away the toys and he would just be very silent. And since he was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna even as a baby, he was just lamenting. He could not understand how can the karmis live without Krishna. In the Madhya Leela it is said that a devotee sees Krishna everywhere. And therefore Prahlad Maharaj could not understand how can people live without Krishna. Just like now all of you have come to Krishna consciousness. But few years ago you were not in Krishna consciousness. But now that you have come to Krishna consciousness and you have started chanting Hare Krishna and following the regular principles, doesn't it bewilder you to meditate how these karmis, they never do justice? So, a devotee cannot imagine life without Krishna. So Prahlad Maharaj, even when he was a young baby, he was silent, he would never play with toys, he would never play with others. He was just thinking, how can people live without Krishna? Just like a small child is being taken care of by the mother. So the small child doesn't know how the food is cooked, how he eats, how he walks, because the mother does everything for him. The small child is always in the lap of his mother. Similarly, Prahlad could never understand how everything was being taken care of for him. But it was all being done by Krishna. From his very birth, Prahlad was very advanced. Sometimes he would cry, sometimes he would shout, sometimes he would dance in ecstasy, sometimes the hairs of his body would stand. In other words, all the feelings of ecstasy were being exhibited by Prahlad from his very, very young age. And Prahlad's only desire was just to serve the Lord and glorify the Lord. He had no other interest, even though he was living in a palace. Prahlad was only interested in Ahituki Bhakti. Ahituki Bhakti means service without expecting anything in return. Just like Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilasada Sunyam Gana Karmadi Anavratam Manokalena Krishna Silale Bhakti Uttama. So Uttama means topmost. So Rupa Goswami says the topmost bhakti is that in which one has no desire, not to become one with the Lord or any fruitive result, but just to serve the Lord. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was very confused. He said normally the father and mother always care for their small children. But why is it that Hiranyakashipu was torturing his beloved young son also? But this should come as no surprise. After all, in today's civilization, don't the parents go and have large-scale abortions? In your country, they have close to 60 million abortions every year. Anyway, they have the highest abortions in the Western world, in Soviet Union. So what is abortion? Killing the child in the womb. Yudhishthira Maharaj could not understand how Prahlad's father was a demon. Why was he troubling this young boy? Hiranyakashipu also had a guru. And his guru was Shukracharya. So Shukracharya was a family priest of Hiranyakashipu. Now this Shukracharya is a Sanskrit word which means the following. Shukra means semen. Acharya means teacher. So Shukracharya was not a guru on the basis of spiritual qualification, but he was a spiritual leader on the basis of birth. My father was a Pandit, so now I'm also automatically a Pandit. But Shukracharya was not interested in pure spiritual life. He was interested in money. So he was getting good money from Hiranyakashipu, of course. And Shukracharya had two sons, Shanda and Amarka. So Hiranyakashipu put his son Prahlad under the care of these two teachers, Shanda and Amarka. So Hiranyakashipu specially told these two sons of Shukracharya, now make sure that my son doesn't develop any attachment to Vishnu. Just like in your school curriculum, they have so many topics like economics, politics. So these two sons of Shukracharya, they were only interested in teaching politics to Prahlad. So, but Prahlad, he was listening to what the teachers were saying, but he was not at all influenced by it. In from one ear, out from the other ear. Just like there's a saying in our that there's a inside tunnel with connecting the two ears. So very often something comes in devotee's ear here, but from the other tunnel ear it is out. Sometimes you give the devotees good instruction once, twice, thrice, but no effect. So Shukracharya's teachers, they were telling Prahlad how you must divide the world into friends and enemies. They were teaching him ancient politics. But Prahlad said, I'm not interested. So one day, Hiranyakashipu called his son. He said, Prahlad, come here. He made him sit down on his lap. He said, son, what have you learned in school? And Prahlad said, I have learned that those who are attached to their bodies are just fools. So Prahlad spoke the opposite of what he was taught in the school. So Hiranyakashipu became very angry. He said, these are the words of children that have been spoiled by the enemy. So Hiranyak, because to him, Vishnu was always his enemy. So Hiranyakashipu told, Hiranyakashipu was thinking that some agents of Vishnu are coming and giving my son secret information in the Gurukul about Vishnu. So he told them, please put many watchmen round the building so no outsider can come in and influence my son. Just like, I'm sure this is happening in your country also, when young people join our movement, then the parents say, oh, my son is being brainwashed by these Hare Krishnas. They are doing some powerful magic on my son. Therefore, they are going towards Krishna. They don't understand that to be attracted to God is a natural thing. But they are thinking that I am engaged in sinful life. How can my child go to a purified life? Like Prabhupada said, a man gets married. The father is unhappy, but he'll make sure his children also get married because they want to make sure that everybody remains miserable. Once Prabhupada had gone to a big man's house in Bombay with his disciples. So the big man introduced his wife to Prabhupada, then he introduced his son, then his grandson, then his great-grandson. So Prabhupada said, he told his disciples and not him. Prabhupada said, all he's just showing us is his sex life and the extensions of his sex life. So the point is that, the materialist can never understand how it is normal to get attracted to God. So when Prahlad Maharaj was taken back to the Gurukul, okay, then the sons of Shukracharya said, Prahlad, come here, let us talk a little bit. Hiranyakashipu, of course, was very strong with Prahlad, spoke very strongly. But Sanda and Amarka, they spoke like a friend. Just like when a child comes to you, you pat him on the back and you talk to him in a friendly way. They said, Prahlad, come on, tell us, who are those Vaishnavas who come to you secretly and give you all this spiritual knowledge? Why are you listening to these men? Your intelligence is getting spoiled now. So the sons of Shukracharya were busy trying to tell Prahlad that he should not act as a Vaishnava. They said, we are your teachers, we are your real friends, so please listen to us. Don't listen to those outsiders who come and talk to you. Just like in society, our relatives tell us, don't listen to those Hare Krishnas who are trying to get you to join them. Listen to us, we care for you. So Prahlad's teachers were in the same position. They were telling Prahlad, we are your teachers, so we know what is good for you. Don't listen to anybody else. Now, you may want to ask a question. And the question is, you may want to say, how is it that Shukracharya's sons, who were the sons of the family priest, when they were told by Hiranyakashipu to take Prahlad away from Krishna, they agreed? Because, as I said, Shukracharya was a family priest interested in money, and his sons were also just interested in money. So Prahlad clearly told his teachers that I'm not interested in this false philosophy of bodily identification and dividing the society into friends and enemies. So Prahlad openly said The Supreme Lord has given me the intelligence to be on the side of your enemy. That is to be on the side of Vishnu. And he said that those who think that this world should be divided into friends and enemies, they can never understand the super soul, the Lord in the heart. Iron is attracted to a magnet, isn't it? So just like iron is attracted to a magnet, Prahlad said, I am automatically attracted to Krishna. You cannot stop that, you cannot change it. So the sons of Shukracharya, they became very angry. They said, instead of listening to us, you're lecturing us, and they were very upset. So what did they say? They said, bring us a stick. We are going to beat Prahlad up now. There are 4 ways how you can discipline somebody. This is known as 4 ways how you take care of your enemy. One is to pass legal order. Just like if you don't want the Hare Krishna to do Hare Nam or book distribution, we just pass a legal order. Nobody can do book distribution or chant the names of God. So then we are stuck, no problem, we can't do anything. Another diplomatic way is pacification. Somebody has a different opinion, you pat him on the back and you say, okay, now don't do like this. Another diplomatic way is you offer him a post. You make him the vice president or the co-president of the temple, or you make him the temple commander or some big man. Just like in politics, if you have somebody who's creating a lot of trouble for you, then what they do, they say, okay, now you become a minister in the cabinet. And the 4th way is kill him. So Prahlad's teachers, they had already tried pacifying him. Hiranyakashipu had given legal orders that you cannot hear about Vishnu. Still Prahlad was being inspired towards Vishnu. So now they felt the only alternative was punishment. So they said, now please bring a stick, we are going to beat up Prahlad. So Prabhupada says this is what is happening all over the world. 99% of the people are like Hiranyakashipu. And when the devotees join Krishna consciousness, the so-called 99% of the population will present so many obstacles on their path. Just like there is a thorn in the forest. Sandalwood? What is sandalwood? It smells very nice. You don't have sandalwood in your country. Wood that smells very nice from India, it comes from India. So the teacher said, you're a rascal. You're like a thorn in a sandalwood tree. So the teachers of Prahlad just wanted to see him killed. So finally, teachers were very upset. They had to go to the father and tell the father, we have tried our best to make sure that your son doesn't get attracted to God, but he's still getting attracted. So Prahlad Maharaj's father had Prahlad Maharaj sit down on his lap. And the father said, please son, tell me what have you learnt in school? So Prahlad said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Swarnam Pada Sevanam Asham Vandyam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanamedam. He gave the 9-fold process of devotional service as the answer. So Prahlad's father was thinking that his son is going to speak something mundane, but he spoke something spiritual. A pure devotee is only interested in devotional service, not material logic. So these 9-fold processes of devotional service are very important. These 9-fold processes must be understood by every devotee. Shravanam Kirtanam. Shravanam Kirtanam is the foundation of spiritual life. Shravanam Kirtanam means chanting and hearing. Yesterday we were explaining to you the importance of chanting and hearing. If you chant attentively and properly, then you hear, then mind will also come in control. Vishnu Smarnam. We discussed this point at length yesterday. Vishnu Smarnam means to meditate on the Lord. Pada Sevanam. Serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Archanam. Archana means offering worship, just like you do arti. Vandanam. Vandanam means offering praise to the Lord. Dasya means becoming a servant of the Lord, like Hanuman became a servant of Ram. Sakya means when you serve the Lord as a capacity of a friend. Arjun was the example of Sakyam. He served the Lord as a friend. And Atmaniveda means surrendering everything to the Lord. Who is the example? Which devotee is given as the example of one who achieved perfection through the medium of Atmanivedam? Who knows the answer? Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is the example of one who achieved perfection through the medium of Atmanivedam. So when Hiranyakashipu heard his son say this, 9-fold process of devotional service, he was furious, fuming. He said, I ordered you not to talk about my enemy. still again you're talking about my enemy. Now, the sons of Shukracharya, the teachers, they were very worried. Because Hiranyakashipu was getting angry at the teachers of Prahlad. He was saying, why are you letting these outside forces come and influence my son about Vishnu? So, the sons, they got very scared in front of Hiranyakashipu. They said, sir, don't blame us. We have made sure that nobody from outside comes and talks to your son. But it appears that his attraction for Krishna is from his heart. So don't shout at us. So Hiranyakashipu said, who has given you this instruction? Must be your teachers. I don't trust them. Who? How could you get this knowledge? So then finally, Prahlad began to speak. A devotee of the Lord is not scared of speaking the truth. Just like when you devotees were put in jail. Sure. When 50 Hare Krishna devotees were put in jail and they were told, start eating meat, give up Hare Krishna, they refused. So Prahlad Maharaj says, the materialists are simply chewing the truth. Punah charvita charvananam. That is, there is no happiness in material world, but by making some arrangement, they think that now they can find happiness. Because of the material desires for sense enjoyment, the materialists are only going towards hell. So Prahlad Maharaj said, persons who have accepted sense gratification as a guru can never make progress in life. Sense gratification as a guru. In other words, he says, Andha yathande rupaniya manas te pishatrantam urudani badha. He says, just like a blind man who is being led by another blind man. What happens? If a blind man is being led by another blind man, they'll all end up falling in the what? In the ditch. So similarly, Prahlad Maharaj said, I'm not going to follow a person who is blind to human life. And if the people are following the leaders who are blind, then the leaders will go in the ditch and the followers will go along with them. So Prahlad Maharaj said, unless one gets the dust from the feet of a Vaishnava, his life cannot be perfected. Because by serving of advanced Vaishnava, even the most fallen can get the chance to be elevated in a high birth. I hope you people aren't finding this is too much philosophy, is it? I should go on like this? I'm telling you the whole story from beginning to end. By 6 o'clock, I'll finish the whole story. So, Prahlad Maharaj, he did not hesitate in speaking the truth when he had to speak the truth to his father. So, Hiranyakashipu, when he saw that Prahlad was talking like this, he got so angry, he threw him from his lap. He said, take this boy away and kill him. He deserves to be killed because he's not following my order. See how cruel Hiranyakashipu was. Hiranyakashipu said, this boy Prahlad, he has actually killed my brother. Because Prahlad was worshipping Vishnu and Vishnu had killed his brother, Hiranyakashipu said, Prahlad is the killer of my brother, so kill this boy. Prahlad was only 5 years old. But Prahlad was very strong in his determination that doesn't matter what happens, how much his father shouts, he's not going to give up his devotion to Krishna. Hiranyakashipu said, just like sometimes in your body, one part of the body becomes very diseased, then you have to cut that part out of the body, isn't it? Sometimes you see people, their leg gets so diseased that the disease may spread to the whole body. So before the disease can spread, they cut the leg out. So Hiranyakashipu said, just like when a part of the body gets diseased, that part has to be separated. Now, you are so diseased that you have to be separated. So, Hiranyakashipu was presenting so many arguments why Prahlad should be killed. He said, if somebody from outside is favorable to you, then you make him like a son. But if the son doesn't want to follow the father, then he is the enemy. And therefore he must be done away with. So Prahlad's father Hiranyakashipu, he called all the demons. And the demons came and they started beating Prahlad, tearing Prahlad. They started hurting him. But Prahlad was unmoved. He was just meditating on the Lord like this. Just like Haridas Thakur, huh? You know that famous case? The Muslim ruler did not want Haridas to chant Hare Krishna. So, the Muslim ruler had Haridas caned in 22 different marketplaces. But Haridas still went on chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No. Haridas did not get discouraged. So Hiranyakashipu, he was very worried. Why was he worried? Yes, Prahlad was not dying. He had Prahlad thrown below the legs of big elephants. He had thrown him in the middle of big snakes. He had him thrown from the top of the mountain. Sometimes you see in those movies, the hero falls from the top of the mountain, but nothing happens to him. So they tried everything with Prahlad, but nothing happened to Prahlad. Now Hiranyakashipu became more worried. He said, now what? Who is protecting Prahlad? Where is he getting all this special protection from? I have tried my best to kill him from all angles, but still Prahlad manages to stay alive by his own strength. So Hiranyakashipu said, Prahlad, he is like the tail of a dog. He said, just if you ever try to get a dog's tail straight, you can never make a dog's tail straight. So Hiranyakashipu said, just like a dog's tail can never be made straight, my son Prahlad will never become straight. He's so attracted to Krishna. I was trying my best to take him away from Krishna, but no luck. So Hiranyakashipu was very upset that this Prahlad is so powerful. Of course, Prahlad was getting all the strength from Krishna. Just like, you know that story of the Rasa Muni and Amrish Maharaj. The Rasa Muni had produced a demon from his hair. But Amrish Maharaj was still meditating on the Lord. Sarve mana Krishna padara vindayo. He said, my mind is always thinking of your lotus feet, my dear Lord. But Amrish Maharaj did not move. And what did the Lord do? What does Krishna say in the Gita? Kante parijanahi na me bhakta pranashyati. My devotee will never perish. So Krishna released his Sudarshan Chakra. And that Sudarshan Chakra's heat was so powerful that the Rasa Muni ran for his life everywhere, but no one could protect him. The Rasa Muni was running for his life. He went to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma said, I'm sorry, I can't help you against the Sudarshan Chakra of Vishnu. Then he went to Shiva. Shiva said, even I can't help you. Then finally, he went to the Lord himself. But the Lord said, even I cannot help you. The Lord said, my devotees are so dear. They sacrifice their wife, their children, everything for my pleasure. So I reside in their heart and they live in my heart. So go and apologize to my devotee, but I cannot do anything for you. So similarly, there's another story in the Bhagavatam of this devotee called Jad Bharat. And this devotee Jad Bharata once was asked to guard a paddy field by his stepmother and stepbrothers. So Jad Bharata, when he was guarding the paddy field, he was kidnapped by the dacoits. And the dacoits were getting ready to offer him to goddess Kali because they wanted their leader, their chief, to have a nice son. So they were going to offer this Brahmin, Jad Bharat, as a sacrifice. Like we offer samosas and puris to the Lord, they were going to offer Jad Bharata as an offering to goddess Kali. So, of course, Prahlad, Jad Bharata did not get scared at all. Even though they were getting ready to kill Jad Bharat, he was totally unmoved. And then the deity came out from the deity, personality of Kali came out from the deity, and then with that same knife, she cut the throat of the dacoits. We should know what are Prahlad's teachings. As you know, Prahlad in his school, he was always telling his friends about spiritual life. Prahlad Maharaj said, Kamara ashrat pragyo dharmam bhagavatamya durlabha manasam janma tadapi adruam arpadam. He said, now you've got this human life which is very rare. Use it to understand your relationship with God. And spiritual education must be imparted from the age of 5. So Prahlad Maharaj was very strongly instructing his classmates about the principle of Bhagavad Dharma. The entire Vedic philosophy, as I explained to you earlier, was revealed to Prahlad when he was in the womb of his mother. So Prahlad Maharaj had completely convinced his whole class about devotional service. Just like if you fall in bad association, then you get bad habits. And if you fall in good association, you get good habits. Prabhupada used to quote this famous British saying, a man is known by the company he keeps. So all these classmates of Prahlad, they were associating with Prahlad. So naturally they were getting inspired about bhakti. So even though these were all the sons of demons, the classmates, And even though their teachers were instructing them on demonic philosophy, still the classmates of Prahlad, they rejected the teachings of the teachers and they became Prahlad's disciples. They were listening to Prahlad. So, there's one very important lesson to learn from this experience. That does not matter how much impediment there may be. If there is one sincere preacher, he can convert everyone to Krishna consciousness. Even though the people of your country had to go through a lot of difficulties to establish Krishna consciousness, but you will admit that the difficulties you had to go through were nothing compared to Prahlad Maharaja's difficulties. None of you were thrown from mountain tops, or was anyone thrown from mountain tops? Even though you did have to go through difficulties, but the difficulties were not as serious as Prahlad had to face. But of course we are not Prahlad either. Prahlad's a pure devotee, Mahajan. So when the sons of Shukracharya saw that they have completely failed in changing Prahlad's mind, and they have not only failed, but all the classmates have also gone against them. Even all the whole class has become devotee of Krishna. They said, now we must go and give our report to Hiranyakashipu. So when Hiranyakashipu got this information from the sons of Shukracharya, he said, now nothing doing. Prahlad has to be killed. Actually, once before also, Hiranyakashipu had decided to kill Prahlad, and he had tried to kill, but Prahlad did not die. So then Hiranyakashipu told the teachers of Prahlad, Sanda and Amarka, okay, give him some philosophy now. Try to teach him again this diplomatic science of diplomacy. But now Hiranyakashipu decided, now he has to be killed at any cost. A devotee does not care for the instructions of non-devotees. So Hiranyakashipu was completely bewildered how his 5-year-old son had so much Shakti. So he wanted to know, where is he getting his strength from? So Prahlad said, my dear Lord, the source of my strength is the same as the source of your strength. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sanivishta mataha smrita jnanam apahanam cha. I am the source of remembrance and forgetfulness. Those who have the power to remember Krishna, they are getting their Shakti from Krishna. And those who forget Krishna, they are also getting their power from Krishna. So similarly, the demon is getting his strength from Krishna, and the devotee is getting his strength from Krishna. My father, now I'm going to kill you. He said, he did not stop preaching the philosophy of Bhagavad Dharma. Prahlad Maharaj said, unless you control anger, greed, illusion, madness, jealousy and lust, human life is wasted. These are the 6 enemies of spiritual life. One is lust. I had discussed this at length yesterday, so I will not discuss this again today. Another is anger. This also we had discussed yesterday. Then another is greed. Your greed knows no limit. That famous quote from Narada Muni, you can satisfy a hungry man, a thirsty man, an angry man, but he cannot satisfy a greedy man. Like all of you are hungry because you are fasting, but I'm sure after some time when you eat prasad, your hunger will be gone. And if you are thirsty, if we give you pure water, your thirst will go away. And if you're angry, you shout at the other person, your anger will go away. But greed, as much as you get, it is less than what you should have. Then another enemy of spiritual life is illusion. Illusion means to identify with the body, just like everybody is identifying with the body. And because you identify with the body, you end up becoming mad. Maharaja Rishabdev has said, no nan pramata kurute vikarma yidindya priyata apranoti nasadu manayita atmanayam asanabi kleshada asadeha. Maharaja Rishabdev says in the Bhagavatam that one who engages in sense enjoyment, he is simply pramata, a madman, because he does not know that by engaging in sinful activities, he has got a material body that is giving him pain. And again by engaging in sense enjoyment, he'll again get a material body that will give him nothing but pain. So, Hiranyakashipu said, Prahlad, now you will have to die. I'm going to separate your head from your body. Hiranyakashipu said, Prahlad, now be ready to die. I will say, where is your God? You always say, God? Okay, let God come in front of me. And there was one pole. There's no column here. You know, you have those columns. So Hiranyakashipu took his hand and hit the column. And as soon as he hit it, there was a very loud noise that came from the sky, which scared everyone, the demigods. So all the demons got scared when they heard that voice. So Hiranyakashipu wanted to know, where is Prahlad's God? And Prahlad said, everywhere. And Hiranyakashipu said, is he inside this pillar? And Prahlad said, yes. So when Hiranyakashipu wanted to know if the Lord was in the pillar, the Lord appeared from the pillar. And he appeared in a form that no one had ever seen him before, as half man, half lion. By manifesting his form as Lord Narasiṁha Deva, Lord Narasiṁha Deva told Prahlad, Prahlad, don't worry, I'm here now to protect you. Hiranyakashipu was totally bewildered. Where is that noise coming from? And at the same time he saw that form of Lord Narasiṁha Deva, and he just could not figure out who the hell is this creature in front of him. A demon cannot calculate the unlimited potency of God. Even though Hiranyakashipu had made all the calculations in getting his benediction from Brahma, but he could never understand, he could never predict that God would descend as half man, half lion. So the Lord appeared as half man, half lion, and this completely bewildered Hiranyakashipu. Similarly, the demons, Krishna says, Na mam duskritana mura prapadayanti naradama mayaya partha jnana ashram bhavan ashritaha. 4 types of miscreants can never understand me. Mura, the hard-working beast, the avjanti ma mura manusam tanam ashritam param bhavan agananda mama bhuta maheshwaram. Krishna says, avjanti ma mura. These miscreants, when they look at my form, they think this is a mundane form. So Hiranyakashipu was just bewildered where the sound was coming from, and he was totally shocked to see the half man, half animal form of the Lord. So Hiranyakashipu, he was totally amazed. Just like when you see something by surprise, then you stare at that thing, isn't it? So Hiranyakashipu saw that the Lord's form, he had very angry eyes, and his teeth were also very sharp. And when Hiranyakashipu saw this form of the Lord, he got scared. But he said, oh, this may be Vishnu, but it is waste of time. Vishnu cannot fight me. So thinking like this, Hiranyakashipu took his club, and believe it or not, he attacked the Lord. So when Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, he became almost invisible. Just like, sometimes you have a small insect, The small insect, when it falls in the fire, then you can't see the small insect. So there was so much effulgence coming from the body of the Lord that when Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, he was totally lost. He could not even be seen. So Hiranyakashipu, he started beating up the Lord. So Lord Narasiṁha Deva, however, he captured him just like Garuda captures a snake. Garuda, the bird carrier of Vishnu, she picks up the snake like this. So then finally the Lord picked up Hiranyakashipu with his teeth. I'm sure none of you see movies anymore, but you may remember that in these movies, sometimes when they show the hero fighting with the demon, sometimes it appears the hero is about to win, but then the demon runs away from the hero's hands. So all these tricks that they got in movies, they are copying from Krishna Leela. Because Lord Narasiṁha Deva had Hiranyakashipu in his teeth, but then he let him go. So Hiranyakashipu thought, oh, now I've got free from Lord Narasiṁha Deva's grip. So Hiranyakashipu, he got out of the clutches of the Lord. He ran to the other side. He took his sword out again. And he said, come on now, I'll go back and attack the Lord. Prabhupada makes a nice point here, that sometimes, you see a sinful man, he may be rich, he may be having a Mercedes car, living with a big house, and he's engaged in so many sinful activities. So somebody else says, oh, look at me, we Hare Krishnas, we have to struggle. But look at that sinful man, he's living like a king. So similarly, the Lord, just like Lord Narasiṁha Deva, he let Hiranyakashipu slip out of his hand, and Hiranyakashipu was thinking that now I've become independent and I can strike back at the Lord. Similarly, material nature lets you have all the material facilities, and then, just like Hiranyakashipu will eventually get killed by Narasiṁha Deva, material nature eventually destroys us. So then, just like the snake captures a mouse, I'm sure you must have seen a snake eating a mouse, huh? Have you all seen that? Has anyone seen a snake eating a mouse? Do you have mouses in your country or you don't? So just like the snake eats a mouse, or Garuda captures a snake, Lord Narasiṁha Deva finally captured Hiranyakashipu. And then he brought him on his lap, kept him on his lap, and he tore him. So Lord Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction from Lord Brahma, what? That he would not be killed in sky, in land or water. He had received the benediction that he would not be killed by any weapon or any animal or a human being. And he had received the benediction that he would not be killed in the day or in the night. So the Lord kept his devotee Brahma's promises intact, and he killed him at twilight. Twilight is when day is dying and night is coming. He killed him on his lap, thus fulfilling Brahma's promise that he won't die in the air or land or sea. So, and he killed him with his nails. The Lord's nails are not ordinary. Can you tear somebody's skin with your nail? Sometimes ladies get big nails, but none of them have such big nails that they can pierce somebody's skin. But Hiranyakashipu, but Lord Narasiṁha Deva's nails were so big that he tore the body apart. So the demigods and the wives of all the other demons, they were all, Lord Narasiṁha Deva also killed all the demons who were supporting Hiranyakashipu in the battle. And even after Hiranyakashipu was killed, Krishna's anger still did not go away. There is a special reason why. Because Krishna was angry because Hiranyakashipu was trying to kill his beloved devotee Prahlad. Krishna did not say anything when Hiranyakashipu was attacking him. But when Krishna saw, Krishna did not say anything when Hiranyakashipu was attacking the demigods. But when Krishna saw that Hiranyakashipu was getting ready to kill his devotee, he got very angry. And then Krishna killed Hiranyakashipu. So the point is that after Hiranyakashipu was killed, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, everyone came, and Lord Shiva, they all came and congratulated Krishna, Lord Narasiṁha Deva. Just like in your football matches, when somebody scores a football goal, then everybody goes and says, well done, bravo. They pat him on the back. So when Krishna killed this demon Hiranyakashipu, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, everybody came to Krishna, thanking him for what he had done. Now there was so much anger in Lord Narasiṁha Deva that even after Hiranyakashipu was dead, his anger did not stop. And Brahma, Shiva, Indra, they were all scared of going near the Lord. Just like as young children, you may remember, sometimes your father is in such a bad mood, nobody wants to go near him. So nobody wanted to go near Narasiṁha Deva. Lakshmi ji is normally always massaging the feet of the Lord, but even she did not have the guts to go near the Lord. Then Brahmaji told Prahlad, he said, Prahlad, you go to the Lord. Prahlad was not scared at all. So as soon as Brahmaji told him, please go, Prahlad went and garlanded the Lord. And as soon as Prahlad garlanded the Lord's anger disappeared. So you see, a devotee is more powerful than the demigods. Shiva, Brahma, Lakshmi ji could not go to Narasiṁha Deva. But Prahlad, 5-year-old boy, in 1 second he went. So Prahlad, Lord Narasiṁha Deva told Prahlad, Prahlad, you have gone through so much difficulty for me. Now what benediction do you want? But Prahlad said, my dear Lord, if you want to give me a benediction, just let me be in the association of devotees so that I can serve you. Prahlad said, first let me serve my spiritual master Narada Muni, and through my spiritual master Narada Muni, I'm going to serve you. So a little later then Prahlad Maharaj said, even though my father was a demon, I still want to request you that you may please give him liberation. And the Lord said, you don't have to ask him that. He's already liberated. So what we had today, being the appearance day of Lord Narasiṁha Deva, actually the twilight in your city of Leningrad, I understand, will not take place till 10 or 10:30 in the night. So if you people want, we can go on discussing Kṛṣna Katha till 10:30 in the night. But in most of our ISKCON temples around 6:30 they have the feast of Lord Narasiṁha Deva's birthday. Now, eating the feast is only one aspect of Lord Narasiṁha Deva's birthday celebration. But from a devotional viewpoint, you should meditate on the character of Prahlāda Maharaj. You should desire to develop a character like Prahlāda Maharaj. You should become fearless like Prahlāda Maharaj. You must become determined like Prahlāda Maharaj. You must always have faith that Krishna will protect you. Not that now you're in difficulty, you think, oh, maybe I came to the wrong movement, I should go somewhere else now. And you must meditate on the greatness of God. If you remember yesterday, when I was discussing text 4 from the Ishopanishad, I had explained how the devotee is anxious to know the greatness of God, because the greater he understands, the more you understand how great God is, the more you will give your life to Him. Just knowing that God is great is not enough. You must know how great God is. So see how great God is. He can appear as half man, half lion. Can anybody else appear as half man, half lion? And see how the Lord keeps the promise given to His devotee Brahma intact, and how He still killed Hiranyakashipu. So, on this very auspicious day of Lord Narasiṁha Deva's appearance day, we should fall at the feet of Lord Narasiṁha Deva and beg for his protection from all impediments, so that we can preach Krishna consciousness and liberate the 270 million people of Soviet land. And the only way you can liberate them is by giving them Krishna consciousness. So just like Prahlāda was preaching even when he was in so much difficulties, all of you have to become 20th century Prahlādas. And if you become 20th century Prahlādas, Narasiṁha Deva will always be there by your side. So we should meditate on the wonderful pastimes of Prahlāda and Lord Narasiṁha Deva, and meditate on the instructions of Prahlāda, and thereby be determined to make spiritual advancement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The sons of Shukracharya said that no one came from outside, taught Prahlāda, but he was taught by the Lord from within his heart. And how did they get such information? How did they know about it?
Prahlāda was not taught by the Lord in the heart.
Yes.
Prahlāda had received this instruction when he was in the womb of his mother. And Narada Muni had instructed his mother. I said that whole story in the class. So Prahlāda, when Prahlāda was in the womb of his mother, the demons were dragging his mother, because they said, as soon as this child comes out of the mother's womb, we will kill him. Prahlāda had heard the instructions from Narada Muni. So this shows that life starts in the womb of the mother.
Hiranyakashipu can tolerate such great austerity, can go through such great austerity, but at the same time he cannot tolerate the pushings of his senses. How to understand it?
You see, the materialists, they work very, very hard for sense enjoyment. Like in Japan, I've been told that in Japan, you know, all these Sony cameras and all this technology that is being discovered. In Japan, the scientists who work on this technology, they live away from their wife and their children for months and months. They have special colonies where the scientists, they live together day and night together. And so, you see, they're going through a lot of yajna, living away from their families, everything for months and months. So, the materialist, he will go through sacrifice as long as the end goal is sense enjoyment. Don't the materialists go to engineering and medical schools for 7-8 years? Why? In the end, they feel they can make more money.
Jai was cursed to be born 3 times, yeah, in the material world, but it was in different yugas, and therefore there were big distances between the
gaps,
births, different births, and where they were between the births. And is it common rule, or it's only in their case?
Whether it's a common rule or not, I can't tell you. I can only tell you that giant Vijay took their birth as demons in 3 different yugas.
Prahlad heard Vedic knowledge only once in the womb of his mother, but we
Here every day.
every day, not in the womb of our mothers, and nonetheless we didn't become great devotees like Prahlad. What does it mean? Does it mean that Prahlad was a special living?
Of course, Prahlad was special. Of course, he was a Mahajan. But if you go on hearing the message every day attentively, okay, but if you go on hearing the message attentively every day, then one day you can also become like Prahlad. You can definitely become like Prahlad. You just have to try. The Lord can make his devotees do what even he cannot do. Lord Ramachandra, when he crossed over the Indian Ocean, he had to make a bridge. But when Hanuman wanted to cross over, he just crossed over in one jump. So, if you try, you can also become Prahlad or Prahladini.
And to whom Hiranyakashipu dedicated his sacrifices, his austerity, because he didn't believe in the Supreme Lord.
He was performing austerities to please Brahma.
And why did Brahma can give Hiranyakashipu such benediction independently of Krishna?
Because Brahma eventually wanted to prove that anybody who challenges God or hurts his devotee will be vanquished. It is just like asking, why did Arjuna fall in ignorance? Because if Arjuna would not have become ignorant, you wouldn't have had the Bhagavad Gita. If Parikshit Maharaj would not have been cursed by that Brahmin boy, you wouldn't have had the Srimad Bhagavatam.
How did Hiranyakashipu know Vedic knowledge? Because there were not any Vaishnavas.
In his previous life, Hiranyakashipu was 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐧, the doorkeeper of the Lord, associate of the Lord. He had full knowledge. He was not a Buddha fool. He was not a fool. If you read Hiranyakashipu's prayers to Lord Brahma, when Brahma came to tell Hiranyakashipu, now stop your nonsense, stop this austerity, Hiranyakashipu spoke so beautifully to Brahma, glorifying the position of the Creator. He was very Ochin Razumne.
It says that if we understand the reason why the Lord comes in the material world, we will be liberated. And every day we chant Narasiṁha Pranama about appearance of Lord Narasiṁha Deva. Does it mean that understand the appearance, the reason of the appearance of Lord Narasiṁha Deva is more important than other avatars?
Prabhupada introduced the chanting of Narasiṁha Deva prayers in our movement because our movement, when Prabhupada first started this movement, this Narasiṁha Deva prayer was not compulsory, was not there. Then Prabhupada had fallen ill once. So then Prabhupada introduced this chanting of this prayer. And then he told us to pray after every arati. So we always pray because in Kali Yuga, when you're spreading religion, there are so many obstacles. But by Lord Narasiṁha Deva's mercy, these obstacles can be reduced or eliminated.
He asked Jiva when he fall down from the spiritual world, does he become Brahma the first, or does he fall into the stones, minerals like this?
Falls down in the form of rain, and through the grains it comes up. I want to ask some questions now. Should I ask some questions? I'll only ask you questions based on what I said today, not yesterday. How many sons did Hiranyakashipu have? 4. Hiranyakashipu had 2 sons. Now, why is it that Shukracharya, who was the family priest of Hiranyakashipu, he was told, you tell my son not to remember Vishnu, and Shukracharya agreed. Why? What is the exact answer? He is 50% right, but I want the exact answer that I gave. Who knows the answer? My question is, why did Shukracharya agree to preach to Prahlad to forget Vishnu? He told his sons to preach to Prahlad that they should not remember Vishnu. He was guru by birth, yes. He was a guru on the basis of semen. Shukra means semen and Chaya means teacher. What did Prahlad Maharaj tell his classmates? Of course, he told his classmates many things, but 2 or 3 things I discussed. What are those 2 or 3 points? Who knows? He said, don't waste this valuable human life. Prahlad Maharaj when Prahlad Maharaj was a young boy, did he get involved in playing with the other classmates? Yes or no?
Да или нет?
No. Why? Why was Lord Narasiṁha Deva angry even after Hiranyakashipu was killed? Normally when you're angry with somebody and you slap him, then your anger goes away. So Lord Narasiṁha Deva killed Hiranyakashipu, still his anger was continuing. Why? Why?
He was angry until his devotee made some service for him.
He was so angry because Hiranyakashipu had hurt a devotee of his. He was trying to hurt a devotee.
Sometimes during the preaching, some people ask, can God create such stone? He cannot lift up himself.
He can carry. Kṛṣṇa is carrying all these universes. Who do you think is carrying these universes? All these universes are floating in space by the manipulation of the air.
What will, after Lord Narasiṁha Deva pacified, what is the end of history? Why? How did he disappear and so on?
How did he disappear?
Yeah.
How will that answer help you? Do you have any doubts? He just left. He went back. Obviously, he didn't go back in the pillar.
The question is, what is the exact meaning of the name of Lord Narasiṁha Deva, of the name of Prahlada? Is there any exact translation?
Narasiṁha Deva is the name of the Lord. Narasiṁha, who appears like a lion. Narasiṁha means a lion.
What about Prahlada?
Tell him Prahlad is a devotee.
Mamatagar asked about the incarnations of Jai Vijay. Which incarnation did have Jai Vijay?
Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. That is what you want to know? Then it was Ravan and Kumbhakana and then it was Shishupala and Dantavakra. Anyway, so, I just want to get back to this one question that Jnanadas had raised on Lord Narasiṁha Deva's birthday. What should we do? Actually, we should take this day very, very seriously. If you just meditate on all these instructions of Prahlad Maharaj, you will easily be able to destroy Maya. You remember in the beginning of the class today, we discussed the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. What were the qualities of Prahlad? Who knows? Don't speculate. If you all remember from what I said, then you can answer. Otherwise, don't answer. He was attached to Kṛṣṇa. That's what he said. What was Prahlad Maharaj's attitude to people like his father, to elders, to the spiritual master and the teachers and the older godbrothers? He considered himself like a menial servant. Did Prahlad Maharaj have any pride? He had no pride. He had no pride. Why? Because Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee of Kṛṣṇa. So I think we should just chant the Namaste prayers. Everybody who joins ISKCON understands the importance of book distribution, because book distribution was very strongly emphasized by Prabhupada. Why did Prabhupada emphasize book distribution? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasized the importance of preaching. Jare dakho tahe kaho Kṛṣṇa upadesh. Whoever you see, please talk to him about whom? Bhakta Kṛṣṇa. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to send all his associates from village to village, town to town, house to house in Bengal to tell people about Kṛṣṇa. The associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu and others, would desire to stay with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told them, no, you can only come back and stay with me once a year, Rath Yatra time. So Nityananda Prabhu and the others would look for excuses to stay behind with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not let them stay with him. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa says, Yaidam parmam guhyam. Of the many types of devotees, the dearmost devotee is one who is always engaged in preaching my glories. So naturally, there are many different types of service that we can do. You can cook, you can sew, you can do book distribution, you can do so. But of all types of service, the service of preaching is most important. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to send all his disciples out to distribute Sajjana Toshni. It was a newspaper that the Gaudiya Math was printing out of Navadvip. And his disciples would come back in the night, having distributed only few copies and having collected half a kopek, and he would be very happy. Now this does not mean that you start doing half a kopeck. But Bhaktisiddhanta Ji, he had told Prabhupada that if you ever have money, print books and distribute books. ISKCON has one slogan: purity is the force, books are the basis, preaching is the essence. So I will explain the slogan to you. Just like USSR. Doesn't USSR have a slogan? What is the slogan for your country? I will explain to you the slogan of ISKCON. So first point in the slogan is, preaching is the essence. That means most important work for a Vaishnava is to preach. Go and explain the glories of the Lord. Everybody is looking for God. Even the person who says, I'm an atheist, if you tell him about God, he will admit, yes, he needs God. But you can only preach if you have purity. If you don't have purity, how can you preach? So purity comes by devotional service. And where do you get knowledge of purity? In the books. So books are the basis. So books are the basis, preaching is the essence, purity is the force. So in these books, Prabhupada has given the explanation about the goal of life. So Prabhupada, he produced these books under very great difficulty. Even when Prabhupada was very sick, he would work and produce these books. I remember, I saw with my own eyes how Prabhupada translated 10th Canto Part 3. Prabhupada could not even read or sit down or talk. But two devotees were helping Prabhupada to sit down. One was holding the microphone, one was holding the book, and with the assistance of all these devotees, Prabhupada was translating. Even when Prabhupada was sick, he would not stop translation of his books. Why? Because Prabhupada said these books will show the light to civilization for the next 10,000 years. These are not Hindu books or Christian books. These books contain the eternal religion for humanity. That is how to love God. And in each of these books, Prabhupada has given very elaborate purports, which are the commentaries of all the previous acharyas. So when you distribute one book, you are you're sending Prabhupada and the whole disciplic succession to that person's house. Narottam Das Thakur has said that one who thinks that the Vaishnava dies is a fool, because the Vaishnava is living in his instructions. So we do not say that Prabhupada is dead, because Prabhupada and all the spiritual masters are there in their instructions. So when we distribute these books, we are giving the whole parampara entrance into the hearts of the people, into the houses of these conditioned souls. Prabhupada said that these books are so powerful that even if somebody touches these books, he can get human birth again. That doesn't mean that now you go out and just get people to touch the books and not buy the books. The point is that these books are so powerful that even if somebody just out of curiosity touches them, he can at least get a human birth. Prabhupada said that as long as book distribution goes on, I will never die. Because these books can destroy the material desires from the heart. Prabhupada, he will laugh at this one. In so many letters, Prabhupada gave the example how the Soviet communists did propaganda all over the world. Prabhupada used to say, the Soviet people have done, communists have done propaganda how? By massive distribution of literature. Like if you go to India, you will have the Soviet land and all this in every magazine. They have these book where the Soviet government has, the Soviet government in India has big trucks that go and distribute books all over. So Prabhupada used to say, just like the Soviet communists have done their propaganda, we have to do Krishna's propaganda. So by book distribution, people can be woken up to spiritual reality. Even before Prabhupada came to the Western countries, Prabhupada was doing book distribution all alone in India. Prabhupada in Delhi, for example, downtown Delhi, there's Connaught Place. So one day, Prabhupada was out in the hot sun distributing those magazines all alone. And Prabhupada fainted in the hot sun. So as soon as Prabhupada came back to consciousness, he again started distributing. So of course when Prabhupada was doing book distribution, he had to write the books, he had to go and collect the money, then he had to go and buy paper, then he had to organize the printing, and then he had to go and sell. But you people don't have to do all that. You definitely don't have to write the books, isn't it? You also don't have to worry about translating the books. And you definitely don't have to collect the money and then go and buy paper and supervise the printing. You get the ready-made book nicely packed up. All you have to do is just go out on the street and sell. Now, how can we succeed in book distribution? The way to succeed in book distribution is by being in samadhi. Now, samadhi does not mean you close your eyes and fall asleep. Samadhi means always meditating on the mission of the spiritual master and Krishna. So when you go in downtown Leningrad with a book and some conditioned soul is passing by, you must think mentally that if this person doesn't take to Krishna consciousness now, he can die any moment and he may not get a human birth again for many thousands of births. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that if one doesn't take to Krishna consciousness in this life, he may have to wait in line for thousands of years before he gets a human birth. Just imagine, for all the sins that materialists are committing, how much punishment will be there. Every day they must eat at least one steak or some piece of meat. So if you eat one small piece of beef, you have to take thousands of births. So suppose a man lives for 70 years. Suppose a man dies at the age of 70. So you can imagine, if in 1 year there are 365 days, out of 365 days, at least 250 days he's eating meat, beef. Then you calculate illicit sex, intoxication, gambling. So if you add all this, it comes to thousands and thousands of years in hell. And the Bhagavatam also says, Padam padam yat vipadam nate sham. There is danger at every step. At any time your life can come to an end. Nobody can say when he's taking the last breath. So when you go on book distribution, you should be thinking that if I do not show this book to this person, then this person may die at any time and he may never get a chance to read this book again. So samadhi means when you are out on the road, you are just thinking, how can I give this book to this conditioned soul and bring him to Krishna? When you are on the road, don't get distracted by looking at beautiful men or beautiful women. You have to concentrate on the mission. So samadhi means always remembering Krishna. So if we are enthusiastic in book distribution, then book distribution will be successful. I told the devotees in Moscow this story which I will tell you now. Once in Bombay, I had arranged a book display of Prabhupada's books at a big store in downtown Bombay. After 2 or 3 weeks of book display, not many books were sold in the store. So I told Prabhupada that I'm surprised that not many books were sold. But Prabhupada said, it is a fact, my books are only sold because of the enthusiasm of my devotees. So when the Priyadana is enthusiastic, then he will have better results. You just go on the street and stand like this, nobody will come to you. They have a group called Jehovah's Witness. So in America, on the street corners, their devotees are standing like this. They have a magazine called Awake, and they just stand over there on the streets like this. So nobody buys. But our ISKCON devotees, they go out enthusiastically and distribute. So we must remember that book distribution is an activity which takes the biggest tapasya and gives us the highest reward. This book distribution facility is only given to the most confidential devotees of the Lord. Only those who are very dear to Lord Chaitanya get the right to distribute books. I can see that in your country, many Lord Chaitanya's confidential devotees have taken their birth. Whenever Prabhupada's letters would come, he would first tell the secretary to give him book distribution report. And Prabhupada would encourage competition amongst temples. There is a difference between spiritual competition and material competition. Spiritual competition, when you see somebody doing more, then you feel like doing more also. But in material competition, if you see somebody doing more, you feel like cutting his legs. Just like amongst the gopis, there is spiritual competition. When Lalita sees that Vishakha is doing more service, then Lalita also is inspired to do more than Vishakha. And when Vishakha is doing more service, then Lalita says, oh, I must also increase now a little more. So Similarly, in spiritual life, when we see that one devotee is doing more service, we also feel like doing more. So, book distribution is very practical, and the fact that in your country you're having so much success, it goes to show that if you try book distribution, you will succeed. Because these books contain knowledge which no books have ever contained. Who does not want to be happy? Who does not want peace of mind? Everyone. And none of these other books are giving them the formula. So when our devotees go out in a pure manner with a pure heart and they offer these books, people are inspired to read it. Tell people how these books will change their life and make them happy. Tell them this is the oldest known philosophy to mankind. The philosophy of Bhagavad Gita is not 5,000 years old, it is 2 million years old. You show them these nice colored pictures, tell them the Sanskrit slokas, nobody will say no. If they say that 25 ruble is a very high price, you can always tell them what to do. Inflation, everything is going up. It costs us that much to print. From you we make no profit. Sometimes people say, why don't you give these books out free? So we tell them, we will gladly give you free if you can arrange for free paper and free printing for us. Tell them this knowledge is for the Rajarshis, for the kings, for the saintly kings, for the leaders of society. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam iman rajasva vidu. This supreme science is coming down to the saintly kings. This knowledge is for the kings, not just for the Sudras. So Prabhupada is still watching the book distribution course, sitting in Vaikuntha. So we should all take part in book distribution, because book distribution means becoming humble. When you go out and preach, you will have to become humble. Because when you're trying to preach to somebody else to take a book, if you're not humble, he'll say, bye-bye. So you have to be very humble. Krishna is in your heart, and Krishna is in the heart of the person you're trying to sell a Gita. So you may say, if Krishna is in everyone's heart, why is it that everyone I approach, why he doesn't buy the Gita? Because Krishna is in everyone's heart. So why? Because Krishna is testing how sincere you are. When Krishna sees that you're very sincere and you're begging and crying for his mercy, just like when you were a young child, all of you used to go to your mother and father and cry, Daddy, Mommy, please buy me that chocolate or whatever. So you have to cry just like that for Krishna's mercy. You have to pray to Krishna that please may you become an instrument by which you can bring the conditioned souls back to him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking to Haridas Thakur, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Haridas, how will all these Yavanas be saved? Haridas said, Haram Balikai Nama Bhase. By taking to the chanting of Hare Krishna, these Yavanas will be saved. With a person on the road, when you're distributing a book, because sometimes people, book distributors, they'll catch hold of somebody and talk to him for 2 hours. So Prabhupada said, spend as much time as it takes to get them to take a book. And once they take a book, then Prabhupada will do the preaching. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare